Greetings, fellow human beings. I hope that you are doing great. January 27, I turned 47 years old. And to celebrate my birthday, I bought myself a VND/polarizer all-in-one filter. And for those of you who don't know what a polarizer do, it reduces the light reflection on surfaces such as windows, water, leaves, and so on. So it reduces the glare, so then you can see through those surfaces. That is for the polarizer. Now the variable ND filter is like sunglasses on your lens, and that allows you to shoot even in bright daylight when everything should be overexposed. So this particular model here from Haida, which is a Chinese company, is the only one on the market combining polarizer, polarizer and ND filter all together. And I'm always looking for the minimum setup possible, so I'm gonna try this out and I will tell you in a future video how it is, if it performs well or whatever. But that's for another video. Now in this video I want to talk again about what I call local photography or local street photography, because a friend of mine living in the south of France, where I'm from, called me for my birthday, and he is also an amateur photographer, street photographer. So we talk about street photography, and he was telling me how lucky I was to live in Osaka, because there is always something to shoot with the neon signs and the bustling of the streets, the taxis, the temple, and all the things we can see in this big city. But I was arguing that even in a very rural and typical town in the south of France or wherever it is, you can still find interesting subjects to photograph. So to demonstrate that, the other day I went out with the Canon R8 and I walked around my house on foot. I didn't take my electric bicycle that you could have seen in other videos, nor any other mean of transportation, and I probably didn't walk further than a few hundred meters. I got a bunch of photographies that I'm gonna walk you through in this video. This to illustrate the point that even around your house, when there is no neon lines, no bustling, and it's a very residential and very quiet area, you can still find some interesting subjects, some interesting compositions, something to photograph. Okay, let's jump in and have a look at the first photo. This first photograph is here to set the scene. There is nothing special about it other than showing the environment we are in. So what you can see is that it's an urban area with some patches of nature. Right here we have a rice field in the foreground and in the middle ground actually. And actually this field is right next to my house. It's out of the frame, but it's on the right side of the picture. And here you have half of the picture with buildings, fields, stuff to look at, and half of the picture with only the blue sky. And I like that contrast. On this next photograph here, what I found interesting are the geometrical shapes. We can see some angles, almost like triangles, and there are also leading lines, symmetry, shadows and light. So these are just a row of garages, nothing spectacular, but still you can get some interesting composition. And the next one is the same picture with a human element included. This photo tells a lot about the everyday life in Japan. You have a man commuting on a bicycle, which is very typical, vending machines with bright colors, and on the back you have the shutters with the straight lines, and above it you have the grid of the tires. So all those elements tied together tell a story. This picture is particularly interesting to me. This is a garage which always has its door open. Day, night, I've never seen that garage door closed. So passing by, I noticed the white cat in the only pocket of light. That thing made me think that it would be a good photography day. Here is a close-up, you can see the cat better, and you have the bicycle as a foreground element, giving some depth to the picture. Now, when you walk around your area, you don't always need to look for some human subjects, guidelines, geometrical shapes, but you can also simply photograph nature. And although this picture is quite simple, what I like about it is that it shows that even in winter you have life going on. Here you have the green leaves, the black berries, and the branches are actually red, which gives an interesting contrast in my opinion. So this is actually at the park right next to our house. Those retired men are usually there playing mahjong. I don't know how it's pronounced in English. This second picture shows better the two men playing. I step on a little wall next to the table to show the scene from above. And here is the same scene in a wider angle showing more subjects. Again in the same park, old people hanging out together. Here what I find interesting in the picture are the two bicycles on each side of the subjects. One is pink and the other one is yellow, so that gives some colors to the picture, as well as actually they are in the same position, I just realized now, but also they are very typical of the life in Japan. Everybody uses a bicycle. Then of course you have the three main subjects, one of which is smoking, so you can see the smoke, which is also interesting. In the middle ground you have the foliage with the green leaves, and in the foreground you have a part of the trunk a little bit blurred, so that gives depth to the picture. But I kind of like this picture. Next up again, old folks hanging out at the park. What is interesting and what attracted my attention was the fact that those three gentlemen wear the same cap in the same color. And also if you notice, one cap is seen from the front, the other from the back, and the last one from the side. I think it's kind of funny. Now the next few pictures show the scene of old people playing what they call ground golf. Photographing people doing action always add dynamism to the picture. Now this picture is also one that I quite like, for two main reasons. One is the color. Actually purple is my favorite color. But if you pay attention, even her hair are purple and her shoes are burgundy, but it's quite close. And the next thing I like is her position. She looks like she's absorbing the atmosphere of the day. This is probably one of my favorite pictures of that day. I really like the attitude of the subject. He seems to be taking a nap while smoking his cigarette. Then you have the bright red bicycle behind, again, which is very typical of Japan. The bench is also interesting with all those ginkgo leaves. Then you have the park as the background, as well as a beautiful blue sky on top. I took this picture to document that even in the middle of winter, you still have nature, you still have colors, you still have flowers. And who doesn't like flowers? I do love them. So that day they were doing some work around the stadium in the park, so I documented that, and what attracted me are the yellow tiles. I like the contrast they make with the red cones. Same scene, different angle. This is less cluttered. Here we have only two workers, their truck in the background, and again those tiles and the red cones, and I particularly like the position of the worker putting the tile down. Another of my favorite picture of that day. A man reading a book in the park. Very typical, but at the same time this is something that we see less and less as people seem to read less books. I stepped on the wall that you can see curving around the subject because I wanted to include the foliage around the subject to create some kind of frame. And again, I really like the fact that there is his bicycle and that he is sitting cross-legged with his shoes off. It really gives the sense of the atmosphere of that day. It was a beautiful sunny winter day. Here is a picture that anybody can take. What's interesting here is the leading lines of the way, the trees in the background, as well as the sun piercing through the foliage. And for the last two pictures, I spotted that man picnicking in the park, and I thought that his outfit was interesting. Again, this picture too really shows the atmosphere of that day, very chill, very relaxed. Same subject, same scene, a little close-up, and again with the incorporation of the foliage as a frame and a way to focus on the subject. And I also like the fact that he's actually putting on his sunglasses. This one again is one of my favorite pictures of that day. There you have it, my friends. You can see that even without any neon lights, bustling streets, events, taxi or whatever, but just a quiet residential area with a park, okay, but nothing special, you can still find some interesting subjects and composition to photograph. Now I challenge you to grab your camera, go around your neighborhood and find something interesting to photograph. If you want to share them with me, tag them on Instagram with the hashtag MyLocalPhotos2024. That's it for me, guys. I hope that you found this video interesting and inspiring. If you did so, please give it a thumbs up, and until next time, enjoy the ride and spread the love.